The alarm lights flashed red across the bridge of the Harmony of Wellness, the most advanced medical ship in the Galactic Council fleet. Dr. Velthra lifted two of her four arms to silence the noise. Her scaled skin shifted from calm blue to concerned purple as she read the emergency message on the screen. "A human ship is calling for help," she announced to her medical team. "One of their crew members is injured." The other doctors gathered around quickly. They had all heard stories about humans, the new species that had recently joined the Galactic Council. Humans were strange creatures from a planet called Earth, a world that most aliens considered too dangerous for intelligent life. But no one on the medical team had actually treated a human before. "What kind of injury?" asked Nurse Kilp, a small floating creature covered in soft fur. Dr. Velthra read the message again. "They say it is minor, a fall during routine work, but they are requesting immediate medical assistance." "If it is minor, why do they need our help?" wondered Dr. Sen, who had 6 eyes that could see in many different light spectrums. "Perhaps humans are more fragile than we thought," Dr. Velthra said. She had been a doctor for 300 years and had treated 70 different species. She felt confident she could handle one small human injury. "Prepare the transport beam. We will go to their ship." Within minutes, the medical team materialized on the human exploration vessel. The first thing Dr. Velthra noticed was the temperature. It was hot, much hotter than any civilized species would keep their living spaces. The air felt thick and heavy with moisture. "Why is it so warm in here?" Nurse Kilp whispered, already uncomfortable. Before anyone could answer, a human ran up to them. He was tall, covered in a strange fabric uniform, and moving much faster than seemed safe on a starship. "Thank God you're here," the human male said, breathing hard. "Sarah's in the maintenance bay. She fell from the upper platform." The medical team followed him through narrow corridors. Everything about the ship seemed designed for efficiency rather than comfort. Sharp corners, hard metal surfaces, and bright artificial lights everywhere. Dr. Velthra made mental notes. These humans clearly lived in harsh conditions. They entered a large room filled with machinery and tools. And there, sitting on the floor and leaning against a wall, was the injured human. Dr. Velthra's skin flashed bright orange in alarm. The human female was covered in red fluid. It was leaking from her head, from both her knees, and from her left arm. The red liquid had soaked into her clothing and was dripping onto the metal floor. More horrifying still, the human was conscious. Her eyes were open, and she was even talking to another human who knelt beside her. "Hemorrhaging," Dr. Velthra shouted. "Critical fluid loss. We need emergency containment now." The medical team rushed forward with their equipment. Nurse Kilp deployed the mobile stretcher, while Dr. Sen activated the biological scanner. "Wait, what?" the injured human said, looking confused. "I'm fine. I just need some bandages and maybe an ice pack." Dr. Velthra could not believe what she was hearing. This creature was clearly dying. Humans must go into shock very easily, she thought, which explained why the human could not recognize her own critical condition. "Please remain calm," Dr. Velthra said in her most soothing voice. "You are experiencing severe trauma. We are going to help you." "Severe trauma?" The human called Sarah sat up straighter, which caused more red fluid to drip from her head wound. "Doc, I scraped my knee and bumped my head. It's not a big deal." "She is delirious," Dr. Velthra said to her team. "The fluid loss is affecting her brain function. We must sedate her immediately before she causes herself more harm." "Sedate? Hold on." Sarah tried to stand up, but Nurse Kilp had already administered the fast-acting sedative gas. The human's eyes rolled back and she slumped forward. 2 other medical team members caught her before she could fall. "Careful with her," Dr. Velthra ordered. "We do not know how fragile human bones are. Get her to the transport beam now." They rushed the unconscious human back through the corridors. The other humans on the ship tried to follow, asking questions and expressing concern. But Dr. Velthra had no time to explain. This was a life-or-death emergency. Once back on the Harmony of Wellness, they placed Sarah on the main examination table in the medical bay. The table immediately began scanning her body with multiple types of sensors. Dr. Velthra watched the data appear on the screens around her, and with each new piece of information, her concern grew deeper. Her core temperature is 42 standard units, Dr. Sen reported, his 6 eyes wide with shock. That would indicate critical fever in most species. Blood pressure is elevated, added another doctor. Heart rate is extremely fast. She is experiencing tachycardia. Dr. Velthra examined the readings herself. The human's internal temperature was indeed dangerously high, but more concerning was the breathing analysis. "Look at this," she said, pointing to one screen. "She is expelling carbon dioxide with every breath, large amounts of it." "That is a poison gas," Nurse Kilp exclaimed. "Why is she producing poison inside her body?" "I do not know," Dr. Velthra admitted. She activated the deep tissue scanner, hoping to find answers. What she saw made her skin turn pale gray with shock. The scanner revealed the human's internal structure in perfect detail, and it was horrifying. Inside the human's body was a complete skeletal system made of calcium and other minerals. Hard, rigid structures that ran through her entire body. "She has rocks inside her," Dr. Velthra whispered. "Actual, solid mineral structures." "That cannot be right," Dr. Sen said, but the scanner did not lie. Worse still, the scanner showed the human's cellular activity. Billions and billions of cells throughout her body were dying every second. But at the same time, new cells were being created at an equally rapid rate. The human's body was destroying itself and rebuilding itself constantly in a never-ending cycle. "This is catastrophic," Dr. Velthra said. She had never seen anything like it. Her body is in a state of continuous cellular warfare. How is she even alive? The team discovered more disturbing details. The human had a primitive circulatory system that required a muscular pump to push fluid through tubes. This pump, the heart, beat over 60 times per minute. It never stopped. If it stopped even briefly, the human would die. "Such an inefficient design," Dr. Sen observed. "Why not simply diffuse nutrients through tissues like civilized biology?" Dr. Velthra moved to examine the head wound more closely. The red fluid, which she now understood was called blood, had slowed to a trickle. But the scanner showed something impossible. The wound was already beginning to close itself, not through medical intervention, but through some kind of automatic process in the human's own body. "Nurse Kilp, send an emergency message to the Galactic Medical Authority," Dr. Velthra ordered. "Tell them we have discovered a species with catastrophic biological design flaws. Request immediate consultation with the Xenobiology Council." As Nurse Kilp floated away to send the message, Dr. Velthra looked down at the unconscious human on her table. The creature looked peaceful now, breathing steadily despite all the chaos happening inside her body. "How did your species ever survive?" Dr. Velthra wondered aloud. "Everything about you seems designed to fail." 3 hours later, Sarah opened her eyes. She looked around the unfamiliar medical bay, confused. Dr. Velthra approached carefully. "Welcome back," the doctor said. "You have been unconscious while we stabilized your condition." Sarah blinked several times, then sat up on the table with ease. 3 hours? For a scraped knee? She looked down at her injuries, which had been cleaned and treated. Small bandages covered the wounds. "You guys know this isn't serious, right?" Dr. Velthra's skin flashed orange again. The human should be weak, confused, barely able to move. Instead, she was sitting up and speaking clearly, as if nothing had happened. "What is wrong with human biology?" Dr. Velthra asked, genuinely confused and concerned. "Nothing about you makes sense." The news spread quickly through the Galactic Medical Authority. A species had been discovered with biological systems so chaotic and dangerous that even keeping them alive seemed like a miracle. Within 2 days, 12 different alien species sent their best xenobiologists to study these strange humans. The harmony of wellness had never been so crowded. Researchers filled every available space, setting up equipment and preparing experiments. Dr. Velthra felt overwhelmed by the attention, but she understood the importance. If humans were this biologically unstable, the entire galaxy needed to understand the risks. The human crew from the exploration vessel had agreed to stay for comprehensive examinations. Sarah and 5 other humans now lived on the medical ship, where they could be studied safely. The humans seemed amused by all the attention, which Dr. Velthra found strange. Didn't they understand how serious this was? The crystalline Kethzari arrived first. They were beings made of living crystal, who communicated through light patterns that shimmered across their surfaces. Their senior researcher, illuminated scholar of biological perfection, approached Dr. Velthra with obvious concern. "We must begin with basic nutritional analysis," the Kethzari said, their body flashing with urgent red lights. "Understanding what these humans consume will help us understand their many system failures." They started with a simple observation. A human named Jackson sat in the research bay, eating what he called lunch. The researchers gathered around with their scanning equipment, ready to document everything. Jackson picked up a sandwich and took a bite. He chewed for several seconds, then swallowed. The scanners tracked the food as it traveled down his throat and into his stomach. What happened next shocked everyone. "The food has entered a chamber filled with acid," one Kethzari researcher announced, their crystal body turning dark purple with alarm. "Highly corrosive acid." "What?" Dr. Velthra checked the readings herself. The scanners showed the food sitting in a pool of digestive acid with a pH level that would dissolve most biological materials in seconds. Illuminated scholar of biological perfection turned to Jackson, flashing with distressed orange lights. "You are poisoning yourself. Why do you consume this corrosive liquid?" Jackson looked confused. "You mean stomach acid? I'm not consuming it. My body makes it. It's how I digest food." "You make this poison? On purpose?" The Kethzari researchers' light patterns became so rapid and chaotic that the translator struggled to keep up. "Why would any species develop such a dangerous system?" "Well, how else would we break down food?" Jackson asked, genuinely curious. Another Kethzari researcher spoke up. "Civilized species absorb nutrients directly at the cellular level. We do not need to destroy our food in a pool of toxic chemicals. The very concept is barbaric." Jackson shrugged and took another bite of his sandwich. "Seems to work fine for us." The Kethzari spent the next hour documenting every stage of human digestion. Each discovery was worse than the last. The food was crushed by hard calcium structures in the mouth. Then it was dissolved by acid. Then it moved to another chamber where more chemicals broke it down further. The nutrients were absorbed through a tube that was over 6 meters long, coiled up inside the human's body. The waste materials were stored in yet another chamber until the human could expel them. "The inefficiency is staggering," illuminated scholar of biological perfection concluded. "Humans must constantly consume resources just to maintain basic function. They cannot go more than a few days without food, or they begin to die. And water. They must consume water multiple times per day." Dr. Velthra added this to her growing list of human biological disasters. The next day, the Velnari arrived. They were gaseous beings who existed as clouds of sentient particles, held together by electromagnetic fields. They communicated through carefully modulated pressure waves in the air. The lead Velnari researcher, who went by the name Whisper of Distant Stars, was particularly interested in human structural biology. "We do not understand how solid beings maintain their shape," Whisper of Distant Stars said, their cloud form pulsing with curiosity. "Please explain your support system." Sarah volunteered to be scanned. She stood in the middle of the research bay while multiple sensors examined her body structure. The Velnari researchers floated around her, their gaseous forms swirling with interest. When the scan results appeared on the screens, several Velnari researchers immediately dispersed in shock. It took them several minutes to pull themselves back together. "You have what inside you?" Whisper of Distant Stars asked, their pressure waves vibrating with distress. "A skeleton?" Sarah said, looking at the scan of her own bones on the screen. "Yeah, everyone has one. Well, every vertebrate on Earth has one. It is made of solid mineral," one researcher said, still sounding faint. "Hard, rigid structures running through your entire body, and they can break?" "Yeah, if you hit them hard enough or fall wrong," Sarah admitted. "I broke my arm once when I was 12, fell off my bike." "And what happened?" Whisper of Distant Stars asked. "Well, it hurt a lot. They put a cast on it to keep it still while it healed. Took about 6 weeks." The Velnari researchers swirled in agitated patterns. 6 weeks? You had broken internal structures and it took 6 weeks to repair? How did you survive? "I mean, it wasn't fun," Sarah said. "But people break bones all the time. It's pretty common." Common? The Velnari could not comprehend this. They had no solid structures in their bodies. The idea of having breakable parts inside you seemed like a design flaw so terrible that no species should have survived it. Another Velnari researcher brought up additional data. "There is more. Human females undergo a process called childbirth, where a smaller human exits their body. The scans show that sometimes the female's pelvic bones must separate to allow this." "Separate?" Whisper of Distant Stars' gaseous form became very still. "You mean the skeleton breaks apart during reproduction?" "Well, technically, it's more like the bones spread apart," Sarah explained. "There are ligaments that stretch. Usually everything goes back to normal after." "Usually?" one Velnari repeated. "Usually," Sarah confirmed. 2 more Velnari researchers dispersed in shock. One did not fully reform for another hour. The investigation continued over the next several days. Each new discovery added to the growing concern about human biology. Dr. Velthra watched as a human named Dr. Chen, who was a physician from Earth, tried to explain the human immune system to the gathered researchers. She showed them detailed diagrams and medical texts. "So your body is under constant attack?" asked a Quillari researcher, a insect-like being with compound eyes and delicate antennae. "At all times?" "Well, yes," Dr. Chen said. "There are bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microorganisms everywhere. They're on our skin, in the air, in our food. Our immune system fights them off." "But how?" Dr. Velthra asked. "How does your body defend itself?" Dr. Chen pulled up a diagram showing white blood cells attacking bacteria. "These cells patrol our bloodstream, looking for invaders. When they find something foreign, they attack it." "You mean your body is in a constant state of warfare with itself?" the Quillari researcher asked, antennae twitching with anxiety. "Not with itself, with the things trying to invade us," Dr. Chen corrected. "Though sometimes the immune system does attack our own cells by mistake. We call that an autoimmune disorder." "Your body attacks itself?" Dr. Velthra's skin flashed through several colors of distress. "And this is considered a malfunction, not the default state?" "Right. When it's working properly, the immune system only attacks foreign invaders." Dr. Chen showed them more information. She explained inflammation, fevers, and other immune responses. The alien researchers grew more disturbed with each explanation. "Let me understand," Whisper of Distant Stars said slowly. "When your body detects an infection, it intentionally raises its temperature to dangerous levels, causes swelling that restricts movement, and triggers pain responses. And these are considered defensive measures?" "Yes," Dr. Chen said, "though sometimes the immune response can be worse than the infection itself. The inflammation can damage healthy tissue. Fevers can get too high and cause problems. Allergic reactions can be life-threatening even though the allergen itself is harmless." "Allergic reactions?" Illuminated scholar of biological perfection's crystal body turned dark with confusion. Explain this. Sometimes the immune system overreacts to harmless substances, Dr. Chen said. Like pollen, or certain foods, or animal fur, the body treats them as dangerous invaders and launches a full immune response. Your body attacks you for being near plants? A Kethzari researcher could not believe what they were hearing. This happens often? Pretty common, yeah. Lots of humans have allergies. The researchers began consulting with each other in worried tones. Their various forms of communication, lights, pressure waves, and translated speech, created a chaotic symphony of concern throughout the research bay. Dr. Velthra pulled up the medical files Dr. Chen had provided. She read about cancer, where cells forgot how to stop growing. She read about diabetes, where the body could not process sugar correctly. She read about hundreds of different conditions where the human body simply malfunctioned in various ways. How are there so many humans? Dr. Velthra finally asked. With all these biological failures, your species should have gone extinct long ago. Dr. Chen smiled. We're tougher than we look. That night, Dr. Velthra began drafting her report to the Galactic Medical Authority. She had already filled 30 pages with documentation of human biological disasters, and they had only just begun the investigation. Outside the medical bay windows, the stars shone in the darkness of space. Somewhere out there was Earth, the planet that had created these impossible, fragile, chaotic beings called humans. Dr. Velthra wondered what kind of world could produce such a species. She had a feeling she would not like the answer. Dr. Velthra stood in the environmental testing chamber, reviewing her plans one more time. After 2 weeks of studying human biology, she had documented countless design flaws and system failures. But one question remained unanswered. What were the actual limits of human capability? Surely there must be boundaries, she said to her research team. Every species has conditions they cannot tolerate. We need to find where humans fail. The alien researchers had designed a series of tests. All of them were calculated to be safe by galactic standards, never pushing beyond what most species could handle comfortably. They would test temperature tolerance, physical endurance, and stress response. Dr. Velthra expected the humans to reach their limits quickly. She was wrong. The temperature test began first. The environmental chamber could simulate any climate conditions found throughout the known galaxy. Dr. Velthra set it to what most species considered moderately cool, about 15 standard temperature units. Jackson and Sarah entered the chamber wearing their normal clothing. They looked around at the plain white walls and the various sensors mounted near the ceiling. How do you feel? Dr. Velthra asked through the communication system. Fine, Sarah said. Maybe a little cool. Dr. Velthra lowered the temperature to 10 units. The Velnari researchers, watching from outside, dispersed nervously at the thought of such cold conditions. Still fine, Jackson reported. Bit chilly. 5 units. The temperature where most species would need to enter hibernation or risk cellular damage. Oh, now it's definitely cold, Sarah said, rubbing her arms. Do you have a jacket I could borrow? A jacket? Dr. Velthra checked her translator. You mean an insulation garment? Yeah, just something to keep warm. Dr. Velthra was stunned. The humans were not entering hibernation. They were not shutting down non-essential systems. They were asking for clothing. You can simply add layers and survive these temperatures? Illuminated scholar of biological perfection asked, crystal body flashing with amazement. Well, yeah, Jackson said. I mean, it's cold, but it's not dangerous cold. Humans live in places a lot colder than this back on Earth. The researchers quickly consulted their databases about Earth's climate. What they found shocked them. Earth had regions where the temperature regularly dropped below the freezing point of water, and humans lived there on purpose. Let us try heat, Dr. Velthra said, still not believing what she was seeing. She raised the temperature to 30 units, which most species found uncomfortably warm. That's nice, Sarah said, smiling. Like a warm summer day, Dr. Velthra pushed it to 35 units. Getting toasty, Jackson said. He removed his outer uniform layer. 40 units. The Kethzari researchers had to leave the observation area. Their crystal structures could not handle even being near such heat. Okay, now it's hot, Sarah admitted. She was sweating, which the researchers had learned was part of the human cooling system. Liquid seeped from pores all over her skin, then evaporated to remove heat. It was disgusting and fascinating at the same time. We should stop, Dr. Velthra said. This is clearly dangerous for you. Nah, we're okay, Jackson said. He was also sweating heavily now. This is like a sauna back home. A sauna? Dr. Sen checked the translation. You intentionally sit in extreme heat? For pleasure? For relaxation, Sarah corrected. It feels good after a workout. You exercise yourself to exhaustion, then sit in dangerous heat? Dr. Sen's 6 eyes blinked in a pattern that suggested complete confusion. Why? Because it's nice, Jackson offered. The researchers decided to move on to the endurance tests. This, at least, should show clear human limitations. Every species had a point where their energy reserves depleted and they needed rest. This was basic biology. They set up a simple test, a circular track 300 meters around. The humans would walk until they felt tired. Medical monitors would track their vital signs throughout the test. Jackson and Sarah started walking. The Quillari researcher, a being called Swift Feet on Mountain Paths, monitored the test. Her species were considered to have excellent endurance by galactic standards. 1 hour passed. The humans kept walking. They were talking to each other, sometimes laughing, seemingly unbothered by the continuous movement. 2 hours. Swift Feet on Mountain Paths took her first rest break. She needed to recover energy. The humans continued. 3 hours. Dr. Velthra checked the monitors. The humans' heart rates were elevated but stable. They were breathing faster than normal, but not struggling. They showed no signs of stopping. Are you tired yet? Dr. Velthra asked. A little, Sarah said, but I could keep going. I used to run marathons back on Earth. Run? Dr. Velthra did not know this word in context. As in, moving faster than walking? Yeah, a marathon is 42 kilometers. Takes me about 4 hours. The observation room went silent. 42 kilometers in 4 hours while running. Swift Feet on Mountain Paths did some quick calculations. That is impossible. No species can maintain that pace for that distance. The energy requirements alone would... Humans did something called persistence hunting, Jackson explained as he continued walking. Our ancestors would pick an animal and just follow it. For hours, sometimes days. The animal would run away, but we'd just keep walking after it. Eventually, it would collapse from exhaustion, and we'd catch it. You hunted by exhausting your prey? Whisper of Distant Stars asked. You are ambush predators who tire out their victims? Not ambush predators, Sarah corrected. Endurance predators. We just don't stop. That's kind of our thing. Swift Feet on Mountain Paths felt a chill run through her exoskeleton. If humans are the endurance predators of your world, what hunted you? What was your natural predator? Jackson thought about this for a moment. Other humans, mostly. We've spent most of our history fighting each other. The researchers exchanged worried looks. A species whose greatest enemy was itself. That explained a lot about human psychology. The walking test continued for 5 hours before Dr. Velthra finally ended it. Not because the humans were tired, but because the research team needed to rest. The final test happened the next day. The stress response evaluation. The researchers wanted to understand how humans reacted to danger. They set up a simulated emergency. Nothing actually dangerous, just a scenario that would trigger survival instincts. The lights in the test chamber would turn red, alarms would sound, and a countdown would begin. The humans would need to solve a simple puzzle to deactivate the emergency before time ran out. Sarah volunteered to go first. She entered the chamber, calm and relaxed. Dr. Velthra started the scenario. Immediately, the room filled with flashing red lights and loud sirens. The countdown began. 60 seconds. A puzzle panel lit up on the wall. Sarah moved, but she did not move like she had moved before. Her entire body seemed to change. Her movements became faster, more precise. Her breathing changed pattern. Even her eyes looked different, pupils dilated wide. She solved the puzzle in 23 seconds. When she exited the chamber, the medical monitors showed something incredible. Her heart rate had doubled. Her blood pressure had spiked. Chemical readings showed massive amounts of something called adrenaline flooding her system. But most shocking of all, her pain sensitivity had dropped by over 60%. "What happened to you in there?" Dr. Velthra asked. "The test? It was fine, just a little adrenaline rush." "Explain this adrenaline," Dr. Velthra demanded. Dr. Chen pulled up information on human stress hormones. When humans perceive danger, our bodies release adrenaline. It's a hormone that prepares us for fight or flight. It increases heart rate, dilates airways, boosts energy, and reduces pain sensitivity. Your body has a combat mode. Illuminated scholar of biological perfection's lights flickered rapidly. An automatic combat mode? Sort of, Dr. Chen said. It's for survival situations. The adrenaline response lets us perform beyond our normal limits for short periods. They ran more tests. Jackson lifted equipment that normally required 3 humans to move. His muscles, already impressively strong by galactic standards, functioned even better under stress. "How much stronger does adrenaline make you?" Swift Feet on Mountain Paths asked. "It varies," Jackson said, "but there are stories of people lifting cars off trapped victims during emergencies. The adrenaline lets you ignore the safety limits your brain usually puts on your muscles." "Safety limits?" Dr. Sen's 6 eyes widened. "You mean your muscles are normally restricted? Your body holds back your own strength?" "Yeah, otherwise we'd tear our muscles or break our bones with our own force. The brain keeps everything at safe levels, but during emergencies, those limits can be overridden." Dr. Velthra sat down, her legs suddenly feeling weak. "You are telling me that humans walk around operating at partial capacity and only use their full strength during life or death situations?" "Pretty much," Jackson confirmed. "But there is more," Dr. Chen added. "The adrenaline response also triggers the release of endorphins. They're natural painkillers. Humans can function through injuries that would incapacitate other species. The pain is delayed until after the emergency passes." "Delayed pain?" Whisper of distant stars swirled in confusion. "You can be injured and not know it?" "Not exactly. You know you're injured, but you can ignore it better. The body prioritizes survival over pain signals." Swift Feet on Mountain Paths pulled up her notes from the last 2 weeks. She looked at the list of human capabilities they had documented. "You survive in extreme temperatures. You have essentially unlimited endurance. You have a combat mode that makes you stronger and resistant to pain. And your body can delay its own pain response to keep you functioning during danger." "That about sums it up," Sarah said. "How did you not conquer your entire galaxy already?" the Quillari researcher asked, genuinely confused. Jackson laughed. "We only just figured out faster than light travel. Give us time." That night, Dr. Velthra updated her report. The section on human limitations was very short. The section on human capabilities was growing longer every day. She looked at the data from the temperature tests. Humans could survive in conditions ranging from well below freezing to extreme heat. The endurance test showed they could maintain activity for hours without rest. The stress test revealed they had built-in combat enhancement systems. "They are not fragile at all," Dr. Velthra said to herself. "They are the opposite of fragile. What kind of world creates beings like this?" She pulled up the file on Earth that had been provided by the human crew. As she read about the planet's history, violent weather, predators, diseases, and constant environmental challenges, she began to understand. Earth had not created a weak species that barely survived. Earth had created a species designed to survive anything. The Emnari arrived in the third week of human research. They were beings of pure energy, existing as fields of consciousness that could interact with the physical world through carefully controlled electromagnetic patterns. They glowed with soft, shifting colors that changed with their emotional states. The lead researcher, Harmony Keeper of Peaceful Minds, approached Dr. Valthra with deep concern radiating from their energy field. "We have read your reports on human physical biology," Harmony Keeper said, their form pulsing with worried yellow light. "The discoveries are troubling, but we must also understand their minds. Mental health is sacred to my people. We need to know if human consciousness is as chaotic as their bodies." Dr. Velthra's skin shifted to a sympathetic purple. "I suspect you will find the answer even more disturbing than the physical examinations." The Emnari set up their equipment in a quiet room away from the main research bay. Their tools were different from the medical scanners. Instead of looking at cells and organs, they analyzed brain chemistry, neural patterns, and emotional states. They could even sense thoughts and feelings directly, though they were very careful to respect mental privacy. Jackson volunteered to be the first human evaluated. He sat in a comfortable chair while the Emnari researchers formed a circle around him, their energy fields pulsing in synchronized patterns. "Please relax," Harmony Keeper said. "We will begin with a basic emotional scan. This will not hurt." "Sounds good," Jackson said, closing his eyes. The Emnari began their work. Within minutes, Harmony Keeper's glow shifted from calm blue to alarmed orange. "This cannot be correct," they said. "The readings show massive chemical imbalances. His brain is producing incorrect ratios of neurotransmitters." Another Emnari researcher, Light of Understanding, moved closer to Jackson. "I sense anxiety, constant, underlying anxiety, but he appears calm. How is this possible?" "Oh, that's just normal for me," Jackson said, opening his eyes. "I have generalized anxiety disorder. Pretty common condition back home." "Common?" Harmony Keeper's light dimmed with shock. "You are saying your brain chemistry is naturally incorrect, and this is common?" "Yeah, lots of humans deal with anxiety, depression, OCD, ADHD, all kinds of mental health stuff. I take medication for mine, helps balance out the brain chemicals." The Emnari researchers swirled around each other, communicating in rapid pulses of light that the translators could not keep up with. Finally, Harmony Keeper addressed the group. "Let me understand. Human brains regularly produce incorrect chemical balances. These imbalances cause suffering, and this is considered normal?" Dr. Chen, who was observing the session, stepped forward. "Not normal, exactly, but common. About 1 in 5 humans experiences some form of mental health issue during their lifetime. Depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, PTSD. The list is long." "PTSD?" Light of Understanding asked. "What is this?" "Post-traumatic stress disorder. When humans experience severe trauma, sometimes their brains don't process it correctly. The memories become triggers. They can cause flashbacks, nightmares, panic attacks. The mind essentially attacks itself with its own memories." Harmony Keeper's energy field flickered erratically. In their 300 years of studying consciousness across the galaxy, they had never encountered anything like this. "Your own memories become weapons against you?" "In severe cases, yes," Dr. Chen confirmed. "PTSD is common among soldiers, accident survivors, people who experience violence or loss. The brain's survival mechanisms get stuck in overdrive." "This is monstrous," whispered another Emnari researcher. "That a species could evolve with minds that damage themselves. How do your people cope with such suffering?" "Therapy, medication, support systems," Dr. Chen explained. "We've developed many ways to help. It's not perfect, but we manage." The Emnari spent the next several days evaluating all 6 human volunteers. Each evaluation revealed more concerning patterns. Sarah had experienced depression in her past. Another crew member, David, had ADHD that made it hard for him to focus without medication. A woman named Keiko had survived a traumatic accident that still gave her occasional nightmares. But as disturbing as these conditions were, something else caught the Amnari's attention. Something unexpected. Light of Understanding was studying neural scans when she noticed unusual patterns in the creative centers of human brains. Harmony Keeper, come look at this. The lead researcher examined the scans. These are the areas associated with imagination and artistic expression. The activity levels are extraordinary. They called Sarah in for more detailed tests. We want to understand human creativity, Harmony Keeper explained. Tell me, do you create art? Sometimes, Sarah said. I write stories in my free time. Nothing professional, just for fun. Write about what? All kinds of things. Sometimes about my experiences in space. Sometimes about things I've struggled with personally. I wrote a whole series of stories about dealing with depression. Light of Understanding glowed brighter with interest. You use your suffering as material for creation? Well, yeah. There's actually a term for it. Catharsis. Creating art from pain. It helps process difficult emotions. Lots of human art comes from suffering. Our greatest writers, musicians, and painters often created their best work during their most difficult times. The Amnari could not comprehend this. In their culture, mental distress was something to be healed as quickly as possible. The idea of transforming it into art seemed impossible. Show me these stories, Harmony Keeper requested. Sarah pulled out her personal tablet and loaded several of her works. The Amnari absorbed the information directly through their energy fields, processing the words and emotions woven into the writing. This is beautiful, Light of Understanding said softly. Sad, painful, but beautiful. You took your suffering and made something meaningful from it. That's kind of what humans do, Sarah said. We take our pain and we make it into something. Music, poetry, paintings, novels, comedy too. We make jokes about our struggles. Jokes? Harmony Keeper asked. You find humor in suffering? Sometimes the best humor comes from the darkest places, Sarah explained. It's a coping mechanism. Laughing at things that scare us makes them less powerful. The Amnari requested to observe this human humor. Jackson agreed to demonstrate. He told stories about close calls he had experienced in space, frightening situations that could have killed him, but he told them as funny stories, adding exaggerated details and silly comments that made even the other humans laugh. You almost died when your suit lost pressure, Light of Understanding said, confused, but you speak of it with amusement. Well, I didn't die, Jackson said, and enough time has passed that I can see the funny side of it. There's a saying, comedy is tragedy plus time. The worse the situation, the better the joke potential. One of the younger Amnari researchers, fresh dawn on new worlds, spent several hours with Keiko, talking about her traumatic accident. Keiko described the crash, the injuries, the months of recovery, but she also described how the experience changed her perspective on life. I don't waste time anymore, Keiko said. Before the accident, I worried about small things constantly. What people thought of me, whether I was successful enough, silly stuff. After the accident, I realized life is short. I started doing things I always wanted to do. I applied for the space program. I reconnected with old friends. I told my family I loved them more often. The trauma was terrible, but it also taught me what really mattered. You found wisdom in pain, Fresh Dawn on New World said, glowing with warm golden light. You transformed your suffering into growth. Humans are good at that, Keiko said. We have to be. Life throws a lot at us. If we didn't find ways to cope, to grow, to turn our pain into something useful, we would never make it. Dr. Velthra observed these sessions with growing fascination. She had expected the Emnari to find more disasters in human psychology. Instead, they were finding something unexpected: resilience. On the final day of psychological evaluation, Harmony Keeper gathered all the researchers to share findings. Human consciousness is deeply flawed, they began. Their brain chemistry is unstable. They experience mental illness at rates we have never seen in any other species. Their memories can traumatize them. Their emotions can overwhelm them. By any objective measure, human minds should not function well. The gathered researchers murmured agreement. This matched everything else they had learned about humans. However, Harmony Keeper continued, their glow shifting to thoughtful purple. Humans have developed something extraordinary. They have weaponized their suffering. They take pain and transform it into art. They take trauma and extract wisdom. They take fear and create humor. They have turned their greatest weakness into their greatest strength. Light of Understanding projected images of human art on the screens around them. Paintings born from depression, songs written about loss, novels exploring human darkness and light, comedy routines that made light of terrible situations. Philosophy developed to help humans understand their place in an uncertain universe. Every civilization creates art, Harmony Keeper said. But human art is different. It comes from a species that is intimately familiar with suffering. They do not create despite their pain. They create because of their pain. And in doing so, they find meaning in even the darkest experiences. Fresh Dawn on New Worlds spoke up. I have been wondering something. We Emnari can sense emotions and thoughts. We have evolved to maintain perfect mental balance. We never experience the chaos that humans live with. But I have sensed something in these humans, a depth of feeling, a richness of experience that we do not possess. Is it possible that their very instability gives them something we lack? Depth, Dr. Chen said, smiling at the young Emnari. That's a good word for it. Humans feel things deeply. We experience the highest highs and the lowest lows. It's exhausting and sometimes devastating, but it also makes us who we are. Our art reflects that depth. Our compassion comes from understanding suffering. Our drive comes from knowing that time is limited and we must make it count. Jackson added, there's an old human saying, smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. We've had a lot of rough seas, but it taught us how to navigate storms. That night, the Emnari transmitted their findings to the Galactic Medical Authority. Their report was unexpected. While human psychology was indeed chaotic and prone to malfunction, it had also produced something remarkable. A species that could transform suffering into meaning. Humans scare me, Light of Understanding admitted to Dr. Velthra. Their minds are so unstable, so vulnerable, but they also inspire me. They have found beauty in the midst of chaos. They laugh in the face of death. They create light in darkness. How did they become this way? Dr. Velthra looked at the sleeping forms of the human volunteers through the observation window. I think they had no choice. Their world gave them constant challenges. Their bodies gave them constant problems. Their minds gave them constant struggles. They could have given up. Instead, they learned to fight. Not just against external threats, but against their own limitations. They turned survival into an art form. Are they the strongest species in the galaxy? Light of Understanding asked. No, Dr. Velthra said, but they might be the most stubborn, and sometimes that matters more. 3 weeks after the humans first arrived on the Harmony of Wellness, the Galactic Medical Authority called for a final meeting. Representatives from all 12 research teams gathered in the main conference chamber. The room was filled with different forms of life. Crystalline beings that refracted light, gaseous clouds held together by electromagnetic fields, insectoid creatures with delicate antennae, and Dr. Velthra's own scaled people. At the center of it all was a single question: what should be done about humans? Dr. Velthra stood at the presentation console, her skin cycling through nervous color patterns. She had compiled all the research into one comprehensive report. The document was over 400 pages long, and every page contained evidence of biological disasters. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, "we have spent 3 weeks studying human biology and psychology. Our findings are conclusive. Humans suffer from catastrophic design flaws in nearly every system. Their bodies operate at dangerous temperatures. They require constant fuel and water. Their skeletal structures can break. Their immune systems wage constant war. Their digestive systems use corrosive acids. Their mental health is unstable. Their cells are dying and regenerating in endless cycles." The gathered researchers nodded. They had all contributed to these findings. They had all seen the evidence. "However," Dr. Velthra continued, "we have also discovered something unexpected. Despite these flaws, or perhaps because of them, humans have become extraordinarily resilient. They survive in conditions that would kill most species. They endure without rest. They heal from injuries that should be fatal. They create beauty from suffering. They refuse to give up, even when logic suggests they should." Illuminated scholar of biological perfection, the Kethzari researcher flashed with orange concern. "This leads us to our recommendation. The Galactic Medical Authority has the technology to help these humans. We can fix their flawed biology. We can repair their genetic code. We can give them the proper design they deserve." A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing proposed modifications to human DNA. The list was extensive. "We can extend their lifespan indefinitely," Dr. Velthra explained. "We can eliminate their need for sleep. We can remove the possibility of cancer, heart disease, and other cellular malfunctions. We can stabilize their mental chemistry. We can replace their inefficient digestive system with direct nutrient absorption. We can strengthen their skeletal structure. We can optimize everything." The hologram showed a modified human, taller, stronger, more efficient in every way, a perfect biological machine. "This is what humans could be," illuminated scholar of biological perfection said. "Free from suffering, free from limitation, finally, properly designed." Harmony, keeper of peaceful minds, glowed with uncertain yellow light. "But should we offer this, after all we have learned about them?" "Of course we should," insisted a Velnari researcher. "They are suffering every moment of their existence. We have the power to end that suffering. It would be cruel not to help." "Then let us ask them," Dr. Velthra said. "Bring the humans in." The 6 human volunteers entered the conference chamber. They looked around at the gathered alien researchers with curiosity and maybe a little nervousness. Sarah, Jackson, Keiko, David, and the 2 others took seats at the table provided for them. Dr. Velthra explained everything: the 3 weeks of research, the catalog of biological disasters, the proposed genetic modifications, the offer to fix everything wrong with human biology. "We can give you longer lives," she said, "stronger bodies, better minds, freedom from pain and disease and suffering. We can make you perfect." The humans listened in silence. When Dr. Velthra finished, she waited for their response. She expected gratitude, maybe tears of joy. The humans would surely want to be fixed. Sarah spoke first. "That's an incredibly generous offer. Really, we appreciate the thought and all the work you put into this research." She paused. "But no, we don't want it." The conference chamber erupted in shocked responses. Light patterns flashed, pressure waves pulsed, antennae waved frantically. Dr. Velthra's skin turned pale with confusion. "No?" she repeated. "But we are offering to fix everything. You would never suffer again. You would be free from all your limitations." "Those limitations are part of who we are," Jackson said, leaning forward. "You called them flaws. We call them features. Every problem you found is connected to something important." David stood up and walked to the hologram, showing the modified human. "Look, I get it. Our biology is messy, but that mess made us who we are. Our short lifespans made us ambitious. We know we don't have forever, so we make every moment count. You want to give us unlimited time? We'd probably become lazy, complacent. Our fragile bodies made us inventive, Keiko added. We're not the strongest species. We're not the fastest. We break easily. So we learned to build tools. We created technology to protect ourselves. We developed medicine to heal ourselves. If we were naturally tough, we might never have bothered. Sarah pointed to the section of the report about pain and suffering. You want to remove our ability to feel pain? Pain is a teacher. It tells us what to avoid. It makes us careful. It makes us appreciate the times when we're not in pain. Without suffering, we wouldn't understand joy. But your mental health issues, Harmony Keeper protested. Your depression, anxiety, trauma, these cause so much suffering. Surely you would want those removed? They're part of us too, Jackson said quietly. My anxiety makes me vigilant. It keeps me prepared for danger. Yes, it's exhausting sometimes, but it's also kept me alive more than once. And honestly, some of the most beautiful art humanity has ever created came from people struggling with their minds. Vincent van Gogh was mentally ill. So was Sylvia Plath, and Ernest Hemingway, and so many others. Their pain produced works that touched millions of people. Dr. Chen stood up. As the human physician, she had been observing the meetings, but staying quiet. Now she spoke with passion. You looked at our biology and saw disasters. We look at our biology and see survival. Every system you call broken is actually a solution to a problem. Our high body temperature? That kills many infections before they can take hold. Our constant cellular death and regeneration? That's how we heal from injuries. Our inflammatory response? That isolates infections and starts the healing process. She pulled up data on Earth's history. Images of the planet showed extreme conditions, ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, mass extinctions. This is where we came from, Dr. Chen continued. Earth didn't give us one stable environment to adapt to. It gave us constant change. Ice ages came and went. Climates shifted. Predators evolved. Diseases emerged. Earth threw everything at us. And we survived not by being perfect for one condition, but by being adaptable to all conditions. That's why our biology looks chaotic to you, Sarah said. It's not optimized for any single environment. It's a toolkit for survival in a changing world. You said our digestive system is inefficient because we have to break down all our food. But that means we can eat almost anything. Plants, animals, fungi, things from the sea, things from the land. We're generalists. When food is scarce, we adapt. Swift feet on mountain paths, the Quillari researcher, clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. You are saying that your inefficiency is actually flexibility? Exactly, Keiko confirmed. Every species you've studied was shaped by a stable world. They evolved to fit their niche perfectly. But what happens when that niche disappears? When the climate changes or the food source vanishes? Perfect adaptation to one condition means vulnerability to change. We're not perfectly adapted to anything, Jackson added, but we can survive almost everything. That's what Earth taught us. Don't specialize. Don't put all your evolution points into one strategy. Stay flexible, stay tough, stay stubborn. Light of understanding glowed with sudden comprehension. You are generalists by design, not masters of one environment, but capable in all environments. Right, Sarah said, and it's the same with our minds. You want to remove our awareness of death, our capacity for suffering, our mental health struggles. But those things are connected to everything good about us too. Our awareness of death gives us urgency and purpose. Our capacity for suffering makes us compassionate. We understand pain, so we try to reduce it for others. Our mental struggles taught us empathy. Dr. Chen pulled up more data. Do you know what happened on Earth when we started developing agriculture? We had more food than ever before, more security. Life got easier. And you know what else happened? We developed art, music, philosophy, mathematics, astronomy. When we weren't focused entirely on survival, we started asking bigger questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What is our purpose? Those questions came from our awareness of our own limitations and mortality. Harmony Keeper glowed with thoughtful purple light. You create meaning from your suffering. We have to, Jackson said. Life is hard. The universe is vast and indifferent. We're tiny, fragile beings on a small planet in an enormous cosmos. We live for maybe 80 years if we're lucky, and then we're gone. That could be depressing, or it could be motivating. We chose motivation. There's a human philosophy called existentialism, Dr. Chen explained. It says that life has no inherent meaning. The universe doesn't care about us. We're going to suffer and die and be forgotten. That's the reality. But existentialism says we can create our own meaning. We make our lives matter through our choices, our relationships, our actions. We create purpose in a purposeless universe. That is both horrifying and inspiring, Whisper of Distant Stars said, their gaseous forms swirling with complex emotions. Welcome to being human, Sarah said with a smile. Dr. Velthra sat down heavily in her chair. Her skin had cycled through every color in her emotional spectrum during this conversation. So you truly do not want our help? You prefer to remain as you are? We appreciate the offer, Jackson said sincerely. And maybe someday, if individual humans want modifications, that could be an option. But as a species, we're good. We know what we are. We're messy, chaotic, stubborn survivors who refuse to quit. That's our identity. That's our strength. But you will continue to suffer, illuminated scholar of biological perfection said, lights flickering with concern. You will age and grow sick and die. Yes, Keiko said, and that's okay. Death gives life meaning. If we live forever, nothing would matter. Every moment is precious because we have so few of them. You will continue to struggle with mental health, with pain, with limitations, Harmony Keeper added. Yes, Sarah said, and we'll continue to create art from that pain. We'll continue to support each other through those struggles. We'll continue to find humor in dark places. That's who we are. The conference chamber was quiet. The alien researchers looked at each other, communicating in their various ways. Finally, Dr. Velthra spoke. Then we will update our recommendations. Humans are not a biological disaster requiring immediate intervention. They are a biological paradox, a species that succeeds because of their limitations, not despite them. They should be left as they are, with the understanding that they know their own nature better than we do. Illuminated scholar of biological perfection's crystal body flashed with acceptance. I will add a note to the Galactic Medical Database. Humans are not to be offered unsolicited genetic modifications. Their biology, while appearing chaotic, is the result of millions of years of adaptation to an extremely challenging environment. They are functioning as intended. Though we still do not understand how you are not extinct, Swift Feet on Mountain Paths added, clicking her mandibles in what might have been laughter. Give us time, Jackson said with a grin. We're working on it, but we're also working on not going extinct. It's a race. We like those odds. The meeting concluded with mutual respect all around. The alien researchers had learned that sometimes what looks like disaster is actually adaptation. The humans had learned that not everyone would understand them, but that was okay. As the human crew prepared to return to their ship, Dr. Velthra approached Sarah privately. I have one more question, the doctor said. Your planet sounds terrible, dangerous, chaotic, constantly trying to kill you. Do you ever wish you had evolved somewhere else? Somewhere safer? Sarah thought about this for a long moment. No, she finally said. Earth made us tough. It made us curious. It made us dreamers who look at the stars and think, we can go there. If we'd evolved on a paradise world where everything was easy, we might never have bothered leaving. We'd have been comfortable and complacent. Instead, we're uncomfortable and ambitious. I'll take that trade. You are going to be an interesting addition to the Galactic Council, Dr. Velthra said, her skin shifting to warm, friendly green. We'll do our best not to break anything too important, Sarah promised. The human ship departed the next day. The crew of the Harmony of Wellness watched it jump to faster than light speed, carrying its cargo of chaotic, stubborn, suffering, beautiful humans back into the vast universe. Do you think they will be okay? Nurse Kilp asked Dr. Velthra. The doctor's skin displayed confident blue. I think they will be more than okay. I think the universe should be worried, because humans don't give up. They never give up, and that might be the most dangerous thing about them. In the medical database, a new entry appeared. Humans, species classification updated. Summary: biological paradox. Messy, inefficient, but remarkably effective. Do not attempt to fix. They know what they are doing, even when it looks like they do not. Approach with respect and keep emergency medical supplies ready. They get into a lot of accidents, but they always survive them somehow. And at the bottom of the report, Dr. Velthra added one final note. Despite everything wrong with human biology, they are thriving. Perhaps we have been thinking about biology incorrectly. Perhaps survival is not about perfection. Perhaps it is about stubbornness, adaptability, and the refusal to accept limitations. If so, humans might teach us all something important about life itself. The report was filed, and across the galaxy, other species began to take notice of the strange, chaotic, wonderful beings called humans. Create a dramatic YouTube thumbnail showing shocked alien doctors examining a human. Split-screen composition. Left side shows 3 to 4 diverse, colorful aliens, one crystalline blue creature, one purple-scaled reptilian doctor, one glowing energy being, with expressions of horror and confusion, holding futuristic medical scanners with holographic displays showing human anatomy. Right side shows a calm human, male or female, sitting on an examination table, shrugging casually with a slight smile, completely unbothered. Background: high-tech alien medical bay with glowing panels and screens displaying alarming red warning symbols and vital signs. Style: vibrant sci-fi artwork, cinematic lighting with cool blue-purple tones for aliens, and warm lighting on human. Bold, eye-catching colors. Text overlay: what's wrong with human biology? In large, bold, yellow, white letters at top with red outline for contrast. Smaller text at bottom. Aliens question everything in white. The overall mood: comedic contrast between panicking aliens and relaxed human. The thumbnail should convey mystery, humor, and sci-fi adventure. High detail, professional digital art quality.